Listen at 610 AM, 102 FM.
I listen, therefore I know.
Online at kvnutalk.com and on the KVNU mobile app.
I listen on the app.
KVNU News Time is 5:05. I'm Bill Walter with this news update brought to you by U&I Furniture. Hardware Ranch will not be doing sleigh rides this year due to the long-standing drought that has taken its toll on the alfalfa grown to feed the elk during the winter. This is the second year in a row after the worldwide pandemic caused the Utah Division of Wildlife Resources to cancel sleigh rides last winter. Brad Hunt, the manager of the 1,400-acre wildlife management area, said they raised about a fifth of the feed they usually do. He said they used all of their water rights early and even purchased some extra water rights. They still did not have enough water to grow what they needed. Year after year, hundreds of families have enjoyed riding in horse-drawn sleighs while guides teach their passengers about the wild wapiti. Those sleigh rides will not be offered at the popular winter destination. Hunt invites the public to see the new education center. They're making changes to the visitor center and calling it the Wildlife Education Center, according to Hunt. They are adding displays, paintings, and putting out spotting scopes and binoculars for people to see the elk up close from a distance. The education technicians will be there to teach about a variety of subjects and have worked with schools in the past. They will be prepared to teach on subjects like predators, prey, migratory patterns, antlers, horns, and things like that. Officials still hope to trap 25 male and 25 female newborn elk this year and collar them with radio collars to track their migration. KVNU News Time is 5:07. KVNU weather for tonight, mostly clear skies, low around 30, and then sunny tomorrow, upper 40s for the high. It's been to 56. Right now it's 47 at KVNU. KVNU weather brought to you by Napa Auto Parts. Always the best prices on the best parts. Get a 5-quart jug of Napa full synthetic oil for $19.99 or heavy-duty Napa 15-weight 40-engine oil for $12.49 a gallon. 5 locally owned locations of Napa Auto Parts from Preston to Providence.
The family's coming home for the holidays, and you'll need sofas to sit on, beds to sleep in, and tables to eat at. Upgrade your furniture for less than you think at U&I Furniture. Their number one selling mattress is a Therapeutic Queen mattress for $3.99. An upgrade to a Maloof for only $5.99. Take home a good deal on an American-made Sofa Love or recliner from Franklin, Southern Motion, Broyhill, and Lane. And their most popular dining set seats 6 with 4 chairs and a bench for $8.99. Get your home holiday ready at the place where there's always a better buy. U&I Furniture, 28 West 1st North, downtown Logan.
KVNU News Time is 5:08. Cache County's new Economic Development Director is continuing to earn his pay. Sean Milne announced recently that his efforts helped to secure a $200,000 grant from the state's Rural County Grant Program. During a November 23rd meeting, members of the Cache County Council, Milne explained that those funds will help to support county economic development operations, a workforce development effort, and a program to support local entrepreneurs. Milne explained that the Rural County Grant Program was created by the 2020 legislature as part of a broad effort by state leaders to increase economic activity and opportunity within rural communities. And Main Street was closed for several hours Sunday night in Sunset, south of Ogden, following a fatal crash. The incident occurred at 1800 North and Main Street in Sunset. Investigators told KUTV one vehicle was driving north and another was driving south. The southbound car suddenly veered into the northbound lane for an unknown reason and crashed head-on with the northbound vehicle. Both drivers were said to have died at the scene, and investigation into the crash is still ongoing. KVNU News Time is 5:09. For more details on these and other stories, visit CacheValleyDaily.com.
Sean Hannity from 1 till 4 on News Talk KVNU 102 FM and 610 AM.
When the bills from your accident pile up, it's time for you to consider professional legal counsel. Get the Bear. Berenson and Caldwell.
My dad was in a car accident. He was rear-ended by a work truck. He sustained some pretty bad injuries. What we didn't know at the time was that he also had sustained a traumatic brain injury, and it really affected his personality. You know, if he had just had an MRI, if he'd had someone pushing him to get checked out, make him feel confident that he wasn't going to end up going bankrupt with medical debt.
Visit BerensonLaw.com to instantly connect and receive a free case review of your injury. BerensonLaw.com.
Today's hearing aid technology can improve not only your life, but the lives of the people who care about you. Once again, you'll be able to hear the reason for their laughter and understand conversations. Dr. Paul Danes will customize a hearing improvement program to meet your unique requirements, whatever they are. Call Dr. Danes for an appointment at 753-HERE and let him show you how.
Bring back what you've been missing. Bring back Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology.
Welcome back to KVN News for the People. Hour 2 of today's show. I'm Jason Williams. Bill Walter here in the studio as well. It is still Monday, November 29th. Coming up this hour, Matthew Weinstein of Voices for Utah Children joins us. They are a nonprofit organization focused on helping to educate, advise, and consult with lawmakers when it comes to policy related to children and families here in Utah. And they have some big ideas for the upcoming legislative session, especially with the news that lawmakers will be working with a multi-$100 million surplus. Where some of that money could go to best help families and children, Matthew Weinstein, state policy and fiscal analyst at Voices for Utah Children, joins us at the bottom of the hour. To kick things off here, though, tragic story here in Utah, out of the Davis County area recently, that has become a focal point for school districts across the state and the Intermountain West. Story of a 10-year-old girl who tragically took her own life after being bullied at school for her race and some other issues. It has launched a statewide campaign from the governor's office on down to teachers and administrators at local districts to get people talking about bullying and connected to resources that are out there. With that in mind, several religious organizations here in Utah have jumped on board the same campaign, hoping to raise awareness about the harms of bullying, but more importantly, to connect people with resources that are out there, what you can do as a parent even to help, which experts say is key to stopping bullying, whether it be in schools or in the neighborhood. Our own Bill Walter had a chance to reach out to one of these organizations. The Jehovah's Witnesses here in Cache Valley and throughout the country have launched an anti-bullying effort as well, and our own Bill Walter had a chance to speak with them. Bill, take it away.
On the phone today, we have Robert Hendricks, who is the spokesman for the United States branch of Jehovah's Witnesses. Robert, we talked to you about 2.5 months ago, so welcome back to KBNU.
Thank you. It's good to be back, Bill.
Nice to have you with us this afternoon. We wanted to touch on a couple things that Jehovah's Witnesses are involved with. You're talking about cyberbullying. And, of course, bullying is a big problem. We had a tragedy early in November in Utah, a young girl who was bullied that unfortunately led to her taking her own life. And so people were talking about that in the state of Utah. But when it comes to cyberbullying, that's something that we haven't had in decades past. Now, why do Jehovah's Witnesses want to talk about this issue?
Well, it's affecting our children. It's affecting everyone's children, really. And when you look at the statistics, the latest ones, and just seems to be even more profound than this, but some 16% of students in grades 9 to 12 report being cyberbullied in the past 12 months. Nearly 1 out of 4 have reported being bullied in the most recent survey in 2019. It's a real problem, and it causes real issues for kids. I mean, when you look at how they react to bullying, I think sometimes as older ones, you can kind of think of, well, it's, the old saying is sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Well, that's just not true. I think we all know that. There's emotional trauma. There's depression. There's isolation that it causes. And even in the case of this dear one that just took her own life, I was just in an interview in New Orleans today, and same issue. Just this week, another dear one, little one, took her own life because of being bullied. And it's an issue that's affecting our kids, and it's an issue that is difficult for kids to bring up to their parents. It's not something that they're going to readily speak about. So for us to put it on the table, to speak about it, to talk about the resources that are available, to encourage parents to talk about it, it's really vital.
And I was thinking as you were talking, bullying in years past, before technology became what it is today, was basically limited to certain physical places, like at the schoolhouse, for example. At school, you might be bullied. Kids could come home and escape that, at least,
Sure.
Even if it was just for overnight till they had to go back to school again. With cyberbullying, that is very different, because that's reaching out and continuing the harassment when children are at home. Well,
it makes the problem exponentially worse in every way. Now, when we look at last year, apparently the statistics show that fewer kids were bullied during the pandemic. And that makes sense, right? You're not seeing these other kids. You're not interacting with them. Typically in a school, bullying and fights happen when in the hallways, while they're switching classes, especially in high school and junior high school, switching classes, you walk around the corner, you hit somebody, your books fall out of your hand, or you're embarrassed, and it turns into a fight or a case of bullying. They're bullied in the cafeteria, very similar to what you see perhaps on television. They're bullied in the bathroom. These are physical places. But here's the issue. Going back to school now this year, the bullying doesn't stop there. It may have involved 7 or 8 onlookers, right? But then it goes onto social media that involves hundreds, maybe the entire high school. And now it's got an exponential effect, and it resonates. It doesn't stop, just like you said, when you go home. In fact, when you go home, you're absolutely obsessed with it, and you can't take your eyes off of it in your social media platform. And so these are the issues that our kids are dealing with.
So when it comes to cyberbullying, it is much worse. How can parents even begin to address this? How can they open a conversation on this topic with their child?
Well, it's not easy, because first of all, we have to define what bullying is. Bullying, if you really had a strict definition to it, cyberbullying or bullying is intentionally harassing someone with the intention of humiliating them, threatening them online. That's bullying. Now, what's important for parents is to help a child and a teenager distinguish between the normal issues between kids, right, and when that steps over the line or leaps over the line to bullying. Kids don't have that nuanced understanding. They don't know the difference between being the butt of a joke sometimes and being threatened, or perhaps they think that being a butt of the joke is being threatened. So these conversations need to happen before school opens, before they go back to school after the Thanksgiving break or the holiday vacation, right? And that's why we have been so out front on this, because JW.org has provided resources and provides resources that start the conversation. So if you went to JW.org for free, of course, and you put in the word bullying, you'll find myriads of resources dating back to the mid-'90s some of which are, for example, a whiteboard, which is beat a bully without using your fist. It's beautiful. It's, we just looked at it on I just did a television interview, and they played it for their audience, and just re-looking at it. And what it does is it allows a parent in a non-threatening way. Your child is sitting there watching something that's funny, that's engaging, but it's dealing with a very serious topic. It's outlining what is bullying, why is it so dangerous, what are some of the things that you need to do about it. You stop the video as a parent, and you actually talk to your child. So what do you think? Has this ever happened to you? Have you seen this? See, it opens the conversation. On jw.org as well, there is a worksheet that is basically how to beat a cyberbully. It's an awesome worksheet because what it allows you to do after you've seen the video you've talked about, you can send your child away, or you can do it together. Just a worksheet. Is this really bullying? If so, what do I do about it? And writing a personal plan. There's a lot of things to deal with in this world. But this particular issue is affecting the emotional health and physical health of our kids, and it really needs to be a top priority for parents as they prepare their children for school.
Well, it sounds like a good resource that you have for parents to go to anytime and get some useful tools to address this big problem that's been going on. Now, I understand Jehovah's Witnesses also have been involved in a special campaign, as you call it, for the month of November. What's that about?
Well, every year, and the folks in Utah know this because we've done a lot of interviews about this. Last year it was about a global campaign on the kingdom. This year it's a global campaign on a better world ahead. What a great theme. We've printed 36 million copies of this Watchtower magazine, distributed in 230 printed languages and 400 languages on our website, jw.org. And it's really a positive message for the world because the world needs hope. And so as we talk to our neighbors, as we talk to our friends and our families, being able to provide this information that really the foundation of which really is right in the Lord's Prayer, which many have prayed, asking for God's kingdom to be done, or God's will to be done on this earth. That is so powerful. And to be able to go to our neighbors with a positive message, a better world ahead, a better world is near. That just it warms our heart to be able to do that, and it's become very effective all around the world.
Now, when you talk about a better world, many religious organizations talk about the end of the world, which does not sounding necessarily encouraging. So
yes.
So what do you mean? What does it mean for a better world?
That's a really good question because you're right. I think that there are some, even critics of Jehovah's Witnesses, who have said, well, you've been talking about the end of the world for forever, at least the last 100 years. But the definition that the Bible gives for the end of the world and the definition that Hollywood gives and that critics give is very, very different. You see, when we think about how the entertainment industry has depicted the end of the world, it's cataclysmic, right? It's the end of the earth. The globe is blown up. It's either a natural destruction from a meteor, or it is perhaps a self-inflicted destruction from man who has bombed the earth with a nuclear bomb. But that's not what the Bible says. The Bible says that God is completely in control. And I think it makes perfect sense to the logical individual to say, God, at some point, our Creator, is going to have enough of us ruining this earth, is going to have enough of the problems that he sees on this earth, and that he has witnessed more deaths and more murders and more tragedy than anybody else in the universe. And we believe, and the Bible teaches, that there will be an end to those things that we live with every day. The tragedy of young people taking their own life because of bullying, the tragedy of never-ending war, the tragedy of pollution and global climate change. These tragedies need to end, and God is going to end them. That's the definition of the end of the world. The globe is fine. It will heal. The problem is the tenants. And so righteous people, and many in your audience I'm sure feel that they are, righteous people have nothing to fear because they will just walk into a beautiful earth and help restore this earth to what God meant it to be. And that's what it means, the end of a system of things, the end of a way of doing things, and the start of something new, something positive, and something permanent.
It sounds intriguing. Now, with this campaign, I mean, in years past, Jehovah's Witnesses have been seen going door to door, on street corners in downtown areas, talking to individuals. How is, with the pandemic that's been going on, how are you carrying out this special campaign?
Well, it's been very effective, even though we haven't been able to go door to door. Certainly, we long to get back to our door-to-door ministry. Hopefully, that someday will happen, and our in-person meetings. But right now, we're meeting virtually, and we're also doing our ministry virtually. And when I say virtually, that's not really completely accurate because we've kind of gone back to basics. For the last year and a half, we've probably, as an organization, written probably billions of letters. Certainly, in this country alone, we've written hundreds of millions of letters. We wonder why the post office has been bogged down. Jehovah's Witnesses have been writing a lot of letters to their neighbors and stamping them and sending them in the old-fashioned way, and it's been very effective. We reach people. How often do you try to personalize it to the best of our ability, because most of these letters and missives and communications are coming from just within your neighborhood, where our congregations are small and are scattered about all over Utah. So it's really being done in any way we can get to folks in a safe way. That's what we're trying to do.
All right, very good. So you mentioned a website earlier. Again, where can people go to get more help on these things, whether it's cyberbullying that we talked about earlier or to find out about a better world ahead?
jw.org, so jw.org is the most translated website on the globe, 1,040 languages.
Wow!
So of course you can go there. It's free. There's no paywall. You don't need to put in your email address or identify yourself. Just download the free content. But also you can go right now to the iOS store or the Google Play Store and download JW Library. It's a free app. And within that library, you have the latest of all of our publications and about 600,000 more videos and audio programs just within that app, all for free. And if you download the app right now, the Better World is Near will probably be on its homepage just immediately as you open it up, and take you seconds to download it. You can read it or listen to it.
All right. Well, with all the negativity that we have in the world, it sounds like some good things that you have on your website and through your organization. Robert Hendricks, again, spokesman for the United States branch of Jehovah's Witnesses. Robert, again, it's been a pleasure to talk with you again about some of the latest work that your organization has been involved with. Thank you.
It's a pleasure, Bill. Thank you for having us.
And thank you, Bill. We'll be back with more of KVNU's For the People right after this.
The day may be done, but you're still not finished. Sound familiar? Taking care of life's business doesn't always happen at the most convenient times. At D11's Bank, we've made sure it's easy for you to access and manage your banking wherever, whenever. Making sure the way you bank improves the way you live. That's been our way since 1904. In times like these, it's good to have a bank like this. D.L. Evans Bank. This is community banking.
Wow, your cars look so shiny.
Thanks. I've been taking them to Green Gorilla Car Wash. Thanks to their new ceramic application, my cars have never had such a glossy shine.
Sounds expensive.
You haven't heard about their sale? Right now, their Jungle membership with ceramic coating is half off for every vehicle. Instead of $30 per month, I'm only paying $14.99 from now until September 2022.
That's almost a whole year.
I know. My half-price membership is good at both Green Gorilla locations in the Valley.
I better head there now.
Tuesday edition Clay Travis and Buck Sexton show will dive into the absolute latest on the newest COVID variant and Dr. Fauci, the man who is science himself. Plus, Buck.
We'll pull them out of their diving poll numbers. We'll talk more about what it looks like for Biden, Kamala, and the rest coming up on the Clay Travis and Buck Sexton show.
10 to 1 on News Talk KVNU, 102 FM at 610 AM.
Vehicle accidents are stressful enough. You don't need someone showing up at the scene trying to pressure you into letting them tow away your vehicle. Call your roadside assistance provider or insurance company for towing company suggestions, or consult with police on the scene. And always have the price and terms in writing before you let them hook it up. If you suspect fraud, call us at 1-800-TEL-NICB or visit www.nicb.org. A public service message from the National Insurance Crime Bureau.
These are the sounds of a dinner that almost didn't happen. A dinner now served thanks to people like you. Due to COVID-19, 17 million more Americans may face hunger. Feeding America is helping our neighbors in need. And if you're able, you can too. Donations are being accepted at feedingamerica.org/coronavirus. Brought to you by the Ad Council and Feeding America, 200 food banks strong.
You're listening to KVNU's For the People. Thanks again to Robert Kendrick, the Jehovah's Witnesses organization, for joining us, and to you, Bill, for conducting that interview. On the other side, Matthew Weinstein of Voices for Utah Children joins us. They have some recommendations based on their data analytics for Utah lawmakers when it comes to the upcoming legislative session and the budget. What Voices for Utah Children recommends would most help Utah's kids and families, with Matthew Weinstein joining us right after this look at the news with KVNU's Bill Walter.
Thank you, Jason. KVNU News Time is 5:32. The news is brought to you by the Duck Hunter. Following through on his campaign promise, Utah Governor Spencer Cox has made rural Utah a focus of his administration in various ways. His outreach through his bi-monthly Direct Link radio program, heard here on News Talk KVNU. Also in promoting his policies, including a recent announcement regarding health care in rural areas. On KVNU's For the People program this past week, the governor said he greatly appreciates the contributions from rural Utah.
I was very serious about it, and as somebody who grew up in rural Utah, I'm grateful for our rural counties. I'm grateful for the people that make up the backbone of our state. I'm grateful for the hard work that they put in every day to make our state better. And we wanted to give back and let people know that we cared about it from a policy perspective.
Governor said he has an office in rural Utah, and he makes sure he spends time there every month. Cox also said his cabinet and senior staff are involved in moving jobs to the rural parts of the state, including over 100 state jobs that they've been able to relocate during his short time in office. Despite the pandemic, the governor says this past year has been a good year for the state.
Well, it's been a remarkable year for Utah. Again, depending on how you measure that, certainly economically. I mean, there's an argument that it's the best year in our state's history. Considering we're coming out of a pandemic, a lot of people don't realize this, but we're for a long time, we were one of only 2 states that had positive job growth, in that we have more jobs now than we had before the pandemic.
Cox was asked if there are things that he's surprised about as he visits those in the state.
As I'm traveling around the state, visiting different businesses and different nonprofits, and seeing some of the innovation that's happening here is truly remarkable. I mean, there's a company that is growing food and growing it all indoors under lights and using very little water, about 3% of the water you would normally use, and they're using that. They're growing food for people, but they're also growing food for animals.
The governor said he is constantly amazed when he visits Utah manufacturing companies. For example, there's one company that has invented a product that goes on power lines to prevent eagles from getting electrocuted and shorting out the power lines and possibly starting a fire. Zion National Park closed a popular trail Sunday morning due to a search and rescue, according to park officials. According to the park's current condition site, the Middle and Upper Emerald Pools Trail is closed for the search. The website stated that officials will advise when the trail reopens. Authorities did not specify details about the search and rescue. However, Jonathan Schaefer, public affairs specialist for the National Park Service, did note on NPS helicopter was being used for the operation, as well as technical search and rescue teams. The park's website warns about dangers on the trail, including advising parents to make sure to watch their kids. There are also several drop-offs and steep cliffs in the area. A driver is fortunate to be alive after a freak accident on I-80 in Summit County that occurred Sunday. According to the Park City Fire District, a semi-truck was headed westbound on the freeway in the area of Echo Canyon when it lost a wheel. The wheel rolled onto oncoming traffic and hit a pickup truck. The driver ducked to his left just as the wheel struck his vehicle, according to authorities. The fire district posted to its Facebook page that another few inches would have been a different story. The semi-truck driver's condition was not immediately known, but photos from the scene appeared to show the tractor-trailer stopped in the road. Crews were on scene clearing the crash Sunday afternoon. And the post-Thanksgiving travel rush slammed airports across the country as passengers felt more comfortable flying again. Salt Lake International Airport staff expected about 26,000 passengers to travel through the airport on Sunday. Travelers told Fox 13 that TSA lines were about a 35-minute wait. Despite the long waits, travelers report things were running pretty smoothly. KBNU News Time is 5:37.
How often should you change the filter on your furnace? A lot of people are surprised when they find out that most filters are only good for 60 to 90 days. Some cheaper filters won't even last that long. If you buy a good quality filter, you should still have it checked or replaced every year. Doing this will make sure your furnace runs more efficiently and keep the air that you breathe cleaner. For a free consultation, call the Duct Hunter, 770-4813.
KBNU weather for tonight, mostly clear, low around 30, and then sunny upper 40s on Tuesday, mostly sunny and into the low 50s on Wednesday. It's been to 56. It's 44 right now at KBNU. KBNU weather brought to you by Mount Logan Laundry. Don't pay for the expense of dry cleaning when you can clean your items at Mount Logan Laundry for much less. Located in Logan and Brigham City. For more details on these and other stories, visit CashValleyDaily.com.
NMLS 1817019.
Lendrite Mortgage declares freedom from high rates and closing costs with the introduction of our Freedom Loan. What is a Freedom Loan? 1, you pay 0 closing costs. 2, you get a rate that's the same or lower than the rate other lenders charge you thousands in points and fees to get. The choice is clear. Pay thousands more than you should with another lender, or get the same or lower rate and have the Freedom Loan cover 100% of your closing costs. Act now. Freedom Loan APRs are as low as 1.92% for 8 to 15-year terms and 2.67% for 16 to 30-year terms. Call 801-APPROVE or visit LendRightMortgage.com. Get a freedom loan and say no to high rates and closing costs. Call 801-APPROVE or visit lendrightmortgage.com.
Hey, it's Al Lewis. We all know buttons make our lives easier. But if you have sleep apnea and can't use CPAP, did you know there's a button that can help you go from this to this? It's called Inspire. It's a small device that works inside your body with just the click of a remote. That's right, a button. If you struggle with CPAP, great sleep awaits at InspireSleep.com. Inspire. Sleep apnea innovation. No mask, no hose, just sleep. Inspire is not for everyone. Talk to your doctor to see if it's right for you. And review important safety information at InspireSleep.com.
It's November, and that means turkey, stuffing, and an awesome Black Friday savings all month long at Heritage Ram. It may be cold outside, but during our Black Friday sales event, the deals are really heating up. Like $42.50 cash allowance on a 2021 Ram 1500 Classic Warlock Quad Cab. Find out why Ram is the brand with the highest pickup loyalty in America and experience the Heritage difference. It's Black Friday all month long at Heritage, your hometown dealer with the biggest deals.
Welcome back to KVN News for the People. Kind of sticking with our pre-Thanksgiving episodes where we spent some time with elected officials here in Cache Valley. Governor Spencer Cox and others joined us to talk about what they're thankful for here in Utah. Going ahead, and especially with an eye on the upcoming legislative session, as we've discussed many times, the economic outlook here in Utah is pretty decent, to say the least. Lawmakers expected to have a surplus ending this year, heading into that legislative session. So as they sit down towards the end of January to start crafting what will be the 2022 state budget, they have money to work with, basically, and there is a lot of need out there. So with that in mind, we thought we'll reach out to our friends at Voices for Utah Children. As their name implies, that is their mission here in Utah, to be a sort of spokesperson for public policy issues that affect children and affect families here in Utah. And they've been highlighting recently through their social media and at their website, which is utahchildren.org, a lot of the need here in Utah from some of the things we've seen throughout the pandemic as far as people leaving the workforce here in Utah. A report recently that there were 3 open jobs for every 1 person seeking a job. And as Dr. Susan Madsen at Utah State University recently told us, that is likely due to women leaving the workforce. And that is likely happening due to, well, lack of options when it comes to child care and more. So it's a complicated issue, and lawmakers, though they'll be tasked with simply, well, it seems simple, crafting a budget. As you can see, there are a lot of moving pieces, and what they do with that budget could really have some important impact going forward. So joining us right now from Voices for Utah Children, we have our friend Matthew Weinstein joining us. And Matthew, appreciate you taking some time for KVNU today. I don't know how that went as far as setups go, but this is a really complicated set of things that we're dealing with here. But oftentimes it's reported just as, well, there's a surplus. Great, $614 million surplus, I guess. Anticipated better revenue numbers even than that heading into the next year. It's great to hear the economy is doing well, but now what to do with this money in the state budget and where we point it. All of you there at Voices for Utah Children have been spending a lot of time trying to break this down by the numbers, right?
Sure. No. And look, it's a terrific situation to be in. It's always better to have more revenues than you expected than less, right?
Sure.
And certainly we've all, every state and certainly Utah as well, we've been in both situations. So it's good to be in the current situation. And, it's a real credit to Utahns and to Utah families. We are a hardworking state. We have the strongest families in the country by a lot of measures, hardworking families. Most kids are growing up in families now where both parents are working. And that's sort of the reality all over the country these days. And we've got our beehive work ethic. We take that very seriously. And as a result, we've come out of this whole pandemic and recession situation in better shape than just about any other state.
And that, you're speaking as the expert, if you will, here in Utah on state fiscal policy. You serve as State Priorities Partnership Director there at Voices for Utah Children. What are you hearing as you speak with lawmakers? I know we've got, several weeks before the legislative session begins, but I also know a lot of times they have an idea in their mind already where they're going to head when things kick off in January.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they're in a way, it's an enviable position where they have probably $2 to $3 billion of revenue to be able to spend that they weren't expecting. Some of it the surplus left over from last year, some of it the federal funds that have come in response to the pandemic. But that also puts them in a position where, inevitably they're going to say yes to some things and no to others. And Utah does have a tremendous amount of unmet needs. We actually did a press conference on the steps of the Capitol a few weeks ago where we focused on the unmet needs. It was sort of around the theme, invest in Utah's future, not tax cuts, which, of course, always gets a little bit controversial.
Sure.
But, we're trying to make the point that, everyone loves tax cuts. We all like having a little more money in our pockets today. But the point that we've been making is that, Utah has been actually cutting taxes for decades to the point that our taxes relative to people's incomes are lower than they've been in over 50 years. So the question now is, if we keep cutting taxes, well, are we going to have the resources we need to invest in education, where we rank near the bottom nationally? And that has an impact on our graduation rate, where we've fallen behind in a number of areas. So if we're going to take this opportunity, the point we're trying to make is that there are tremendous needs. I heard one advocacy group saying that Utah is swimming in money, therefore we should cut taxes. Well, our response was, we're actually not swimming in money so much as drowning in unmet needs in education, in homelessness, in affordable housing needs, in after school programs, health insurance for children, mental health and substance abuse. We actually documented over $5 billion of urgent needs that we could address with these resources if we're, willing to delay gratification a little bit and say, okay, we're not going to cut taxes this year. We're going to address these needs so that we can create the kind of future for our kids that we know that they deserve and that they can have here in Utah if we, keep investing in their future.
Utah, as we've discussed here, in a unique situation to make this decision. And, of course, a lot of that is due to help. We've not been hit as hard as other states when it comes to the recession that's since waned. And that's traditionally the case, at least the last few recessions here in Utah. But it would be negligent to not point out that a lot of the costs of the pandemic and digging our way out of that pandemic-induced recession came through federal aid. What does that mean for the future? Because this, of course, was one-time money, right?
That's right. It was. But the thing that we're, most excited about, this is kind of the season of miracles, right? If you're celebrating Hanukkah right now, it's the miracle of the lights that lasted for 8 nights. Christmas, the miracle of the birth of Jesus. This year, we saw child poverty cut nearly in half in Utah, which is truly miraculous, from the perspective of an organization like ours, Voices for Utah Children, that focuses on, how do we reduce child poverty, make sure all kids have the opportunity to achieve their potential. To be able to cut child poverty almost in half, as we did this year, is incredible. And the way that we did that was with this sort of 1-year bump to the child tax credit, where, there were two proposals at the beginning of the year. One was from Senator Romney. The other was from President Biden. Very similar, actually, to have monthly payments and to have it be $300 or $250 a month, which was considerably more than it had been previously. That is something that has just had a tremendous positive impact. And right now, Congress is debating whether to extend that for another year. I'll give you one guess which side of that debate you're on.
Sure.
I mean, this is something that has just had a tremendous positive benefit. It's letting working families keep more of what they earn so that they can invest it in their kids and pay for, whatever it is they need to create a better future for their kids. And so that's had a tremendous positive benefit. And Congress is also debating right now whether they should make funding available to the states to make pre-K available to all 3- and 4-year-olds whose families would want it, and to also expand child care access, because right now, families with young kids, people don't have the option to start kindergarten until age 5. Well, what do you do before then? You can spend a fortune on child care.
Sure.
And that ends up keeping a lot of parents out of the workforce or working part-time instead of full-time. And so to be able to have these additional resources coming from the federal government would have a tremendous positive impact on families and on children, especially lower-income children who tend to suffer the most. And so that's where, we're hoping that we learned a good lesson, we think, from the additional federal resources that families got this year. And we think that we can carry that forward, and Utah families would really be a lot better off.
How would that work? I mean, maybe that's an unfair question because it could work a million different ways. But in your eyes, as a fiscal policy analyst, how would that work here in Utah? How would child care access be expanded through, whether it comes through federal money or state money? What can the state do?
Well, so right now the state can't do a lot because child care is expensive. It's expensive for families. And if the state wants to get involved, they'd have to raise taxes. It costs money for the state.
Okay.
And where does the state get its money? It gets it from us. But that's where being able to have the federal government play this role and provide the resources to the state, the way that it would work is that then the state would turn around and take those resources and follow the federal guidelines, but do it, in a way that works for Utah, so that low income, but then the way that it's proposed in the federal legislation that passed the House and now the Senate is going to be taking up next month and deciding whether to pass or not and whether to make amendments and so forth. The way that it would be like a child care subsidy, initially for the lowest income families, but then phasing it in so it would go up to include middle class families as well, so that no family making under, I think it's $250,000 a year, would have to spend more than 7% of their income on child care. And right now, a lot of families are, you could have the spouse who is working, let's say, 3 or 4 days a week, where most of their income is going to pay for the child care. And it may still work out as a net positive for the family, but they could easily be spending 10, 20, 30% of their income on child care, depending on the age of the kids and how many. So to be able to limit it to 7% of their incomes by having these additional federal resources, that would make a tremendous difference for just about all Utah families.
Sure.
So that's something that we're excited about. And then the pre-K element of it, that's also something where now we've begun to expand access to preschool, but generally only to a very small group of the lowest income families. And so to be able to make that available to everyone, and a number of states have actually done this already. A number of states have already created universal pre-K for 3- and 4-year-olds. Some localities, some cities have done it. And this would make it an option for every state. And the resources would be coming initially completely for the first 3 years from the federal government. And then the states would need to put in a match after that. So, but that's something that would, again, make a big difference because, there are a lot of kids, and especially coming from low-income and minority communities, where they're arriving at first grade not ready to learn. There's a lot that goes on in kindergarten and pre-K to get kids ready to learn and make sure they're all on an equal footing when they get there to first grade. And this would ensure that more kids arrive ready to learn and have the opportunity to thrive.
This is, for listeners, just a taste of what the Utah Voices for Utah Children digs into each year, both as analysts but also, in many cases, advisors to lawmakers on public policy. And you can be a part of it in a couple of different ways. At the website utahchildren.org, you can check out their issues page on children's health care, early learning policy, like we've just discussed here, family economic success tips. There's a data center, and, of course, their most important feature during the legislative session, their legislative bill tracker. If you are a parent, this is a resource for you. You can track every bill that could affect your family, your children in one way or another via that legislative tracker at utahchildren.org. Our guest, again, has been the State Priorities Partnership Director and State Fiscal Policy Director at Voices for Utah Children, Matthew Weinstein. And, Matthew, appreciate you taking some time for KVNU today. We'll check back in again soon as the legislative session starts up and see how things are going. How about that?
Thanks so much. That's awesome. Really appreciate you, Jason.
Well, appreciate you taking the time. And also, listeners, I should mention this. Tomorrow is Giving Tuesday here in Utah, a big day for donations. And Voices for Utah Children is a nonprofit organization here in Utah relying on the support of the community. If you'd like to make a donation, please do so at their website, utahchildren.org. And we'll be back with more of For the People right after this.
Happy holidays from Birch Creek Golf Course. For your golfer this Christmas, I invite you to visit birchcreekgolf.com. Birch Creek's online store offers punch passes that are on sale at the spring sale price, as well as driving range passes and discounted golf lessons from our PGA teaching staff. So for your golfer this Christmas, I invite you to visit birchcreekgolf.com and enjoy Birch Creek's virtual online store. And happy holidays from your friends at Birch Creek.
Serving part-time in the Army National Guard has led to a lot of firsts for me. It paid for me to be the first person in my family to go to school. That education got me to the first day at my dream job, which I can still hold while I serve part-time. That job and the home loan benefits I got from the Army National Guard helped me buy my first house. I also know that I will be one of the first to respond if my community ever needs me.
Sponsored by the Utah Army National Guard, aired by the Utah Broadcasters Association and this station.
At Winco, we do everything to save you money with low prices and top quality products throughout the store. Big savings on fresh meat, produce, seafood, and deli. And even bigger savings in our huge bulk item section. At Winco, there's never a membership fee to shop top quality products at low prices.
Now open in Logan at 1341 North Main Street.
Sometimes, when we catch a moment of wonder, it touches our hearts, especially during this, a season of light. This holiday season, explore the wonder of life at Loveland Living Planet Aquarium's Festival of the Seas. Discover a world of magic with seasonal treats, spectacular scenes, and a seaside Santa at Loveland Living Planet Aquarium. Make your reservation today at thelivingplanet.com.
Smokey, this is not Nam. This is bowling. There are rules.
Hey. That is our time for today. Appreciate all of our listeners tuning in. Be sure to tune in tomorrow at 4 as For the People returns. We'll be speaking with our good friend James Boyd of CAPSA We'll be recapping what has been a pretty big year for CAPSA, including a new building and more, ahead of Giving Tuesday, which kicks off tomorrow. How you can, as a community member, help support the important work CAPSA does. James Boyd, CAPSA organization, joining us tomorrow on the program. Dave Ramsey is next here on KVNU Logan.
News and talk around the clock.
I listen to you all the time.
News Talk KVNU Logan, 610 AM at 102.1 FM.